If you're sitting down to lay out the content for your workshop, retreat, conference, or seminar, and you're starting to get a little bit overwhelmed with all of the ideas swirling around in your head and you can't quite get them down on paper in a way that seems cohesive and even teachable, then this video is going to help you out. I'm Lauren Caselli, an event planner for creative entrepreneurs and small businesses, and I am going to give you 3 tips today for laying out your content. So when you sit down to conceive of a workshop, live event, retreat, what have you, you're going to have one specific idea, maybe that you've gotten from your clients, your tribe, whoever, that inspired you to put on this event. So let's take the example of a networking event. So perhaps you struggle with traditional networking events and you want to create an atmosphere where people are really feeling super duper welcome. You can't just sell, your one idea isn't this is a networking event, please come to it. Your one idea is this is a networking event that is different, that is going to give you friendships and people who support you and really strong business partnerships. That's what you're selling. So before you can sit down and lay out your teaching lessons, you have to get really super clear on what your one main idea is, your one takeaway is. And the other thing I'll say about this is your takeaway has to be relatively tangible. It can't just be an idea. It can't be like, you'll feel more confident in your business. That doesn't sell. Confidence is great and that's awesome, but it's not going to sell your event. So what you have to kind of retrain your brain to think is, what is the physical, tangible takeaway that people are going to get at this event? So for a life coach, maybe that's a blueprint to get yourself out of a rut. If it's a networking event, maybe, or you're a connector, a business coach, and it's a networking event, maybe it's the business cards of people who you really want to connect with, who you really feel like will support you and be supportive of you. And maybe if you're a designer, that's a homepage that's really super well designed, and you'll finally, have worked on your own stuff, because often I hear with designers it's really hard for them to design their own things. And if you're a photographer, maybe it's a portfolio of styled images that you can go home and put directly on your website. So thinking about your one takeaway as a tangible idea or a tangible thing that people can physically take with them, that's always extremely, extremely helpful as a starting point to jumping off for the rest of your content. So number 2, create 3 to 4 modules or lessons to build up to get your clients to this one takeaway, creative idea, what have you. So let's say for example, if you are, if you're the life coach that is trying to get people out of their rut and to make a blueprint for getting out of their rut, how do we get your clients to get to the place where they're ready to make a blueprint? Well, first we have to identify identify the blocks, then we have to, define the dreams, and then we can create the blueprint. So maybe those are your 3 modules. Find the blocks, identify the dreams, create the blueprint. Whatever it is. I mean, I'm not a life coach, so I'm just kind of putting that out there. But you have to create these 3 separate lessons or ideas that you can workshop with people around in order to build up to that one big takeaway. So that's step number 2. And then step number 3 is to take plenty of breaks. And breaks can look differently for different entrepreneurs and different conferences and different workshops. But when I say breaks, typically I mean breaks from you talking. So think about the first day at a new job or an internship, or maybe, even if you've ever, had a job in a traditional corporate atmosphere. You sit down, you come in on your first day of work, and you go sit with HR, or you go sit with your boss, and you learn the systems and the processes, and somebody is talking at you, talking at you, and you can only absorb so much information. So if you think about somebody sitting down to absorb information from you, whether it's a 2-hour workshop or a 3-day retreat, people can only absorb a certain amount of information. So be really super conscious of how long you're talking, and B, how much break time you're giving people. Not only, break time can look differently. It can be a journaling, self-journaling, solo time. It can be group work where people, you all discuss in a small group. It can be just free time where they're allowed to go out and take a walk around, and it can be a traditional break where it's, coffee, tea, getting out of the headspace of doing work and just kind of recharging. It's really super important, especially in live events, because live events typically are more engaged than online events and whatnot. You're there in the room, and there's kind of an attention of presence, and it's an honor for people to give you their engagement and their presence. And sometimes that can be a little bit energy draining for some people. So just being really, really conscious of the breaks that you give. So it goes like this. It would look like this. Number one, reinforce your main idea at the very beginning of the day. This is what we're going to take away at the end. This is what your main tangible takeaway is. Reinforce the main idea, teach the lesson, give people a break, do it all over again. So reinforce main idea, teach the lesson. Maybe it's throw in some small group work or breakout time, and then take a break of like clearing. Next module. Reinforce the main lesson, not only with the previous module, but also with the coming up module. Teach the lesson, small group work, journaling time, what have you, take a break. And doing that as many times as you need to get through all of the modules so that people can take away their blueprint, their business cards of women that they love, what have you. So those are my 3 tips for creating a really excellent content experience, which is, really going to drive the sales for your workshop or event. So what I want you to do now is, number 1, if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, please feel free to drop your email in the newsletter subscribe box below. I send out these videos every Monday, and I make the videos every Monday. I send out the newsletter on Tuesday. So you'll be sure to get them straight to your inbox every week. And then the second thing I'd really love for you to do is to, after you've watched this video, just drop a comment below and tell me kind of where you're struggling with in terms of your content. Maybe it's, you get my 3 tips here, but you really don't know what to say, how to teach it. Do I do a PowerPoint? Do I do a drum circle? There's all kinds of ways to create really engaging, fun content. If that's something you're struggling with, I'd really super love to know. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.